The Book of Mozilla is a computer Easter egg found in the Netscape and Mozilla series of web browsers. It is viewed by directing the browser to About, Mozilla. There is no real book titled The Book of Mozilla. However, apparent quotations hidden in Netscape and Mozilla give this impression by revealing passages in the style of apocalyptic literature, such as the Book of Revelation in the Bible. When About, Mozilla is typed into the location bar, various versions of these browsers display a cryptic message in white text on a maroon background in the browser window. There are 6 official verses of the Book of Mozilla which have been included in shipping releases, although various unofficial verses can be found on the Internet. All 6 official verses have scriptural chapter and verse references, although these are actually references to important dates in the history of Netscape and Mozilla. The 6 verses all refer to the activities of a fearsome-sounding beast. In its early days, Netscape Communications Corporation had a green fire-breathing dragon-like lizard mascot, known as Mozilla. From this, it can be conjectured that the beast referred to in the Book of Mozilla is a type of fire-breathing lizard, which can be viewed as a metaphor for, or personification of Netscape. While part of the appeal of the Book of Mozilla comes from the mysterious nature, a knowledge of the history of Netscape and Mozilla can be used to extract some meaning from the verses. Furthermore, the Book of Mozilla page has annotations for each of the first, second, third and fifth verses hidden as comments in its HTML source code. These comments were written by Valerio Capello in May 2004 and were added to the Mozilla Foundation site by Nicholas Bibout in October that year. Neither Capello nor Bibout are core Mozilla decision-makers. And there is no evidence that Capello's interpretations received any high-level approval from the senior management of the Mozilla Foundation. The Book of Mozilla, 1210. The Book of Mozilla first appeared in Netscape 1.1 and can be found in every subsequent 1x, 2x, 3x and 4x version. The following prophecy was displayed. The chapter and verse number 1210 refers to December 10, 1994, the date that Netscape Navigator 1.0 was released. The Book of Mozilla page, which includes 4 of the verses from the Book of Mozilla, contains the following explanation in its HTML source code. The beast is a metaphor for Netscape. The punishments threatened towards the unbelievers are traditionally biblical but with the strange threat that their tags shall blink until the end of days. This is a reference to a feature in early versions of Netscape that would make bad tags blink, as seen in the source code comments from the Book of Mozilla. The Book of Mozilla, 331, on May 10, 1998, Jamie J. W. Z. Zawinski changed the Book of Mozilla verse to reference the fact that Netscape had released its code as open source and started the Mozilla project. This verse was included in all Mozilla builds until October 1998, when a rewrite of much of the Mozilla code meant that the Easter egg was lost. On February 5, 2000, Ben Goja, then working for Netscape, copied the Book of Mozilla verse across to the new code base. It was included in all subsequent Mozilla builds, Netscape versions 6 to 7.1 and BillNext Communicator. It still appears in Classilla due to the browser's unusual history. The verse states. The chapter and verse number 331 refers to March 31, 1998, when Netscape released its source code. The Book of Mozilla page has the following comment in its HTML source about this passage. Again, the beast is Netscape. The text probably refers to Netscape's hope that, by opening its source, they could attract a legion of developers all across the world, who would help improve the software. The legion is actually a reference to the biblical quote Mark 5:9 in the King James Version Bible, since the Book of Mozilla is presented as a sort of computer Bible with prophecies. Mammon refers to Microsoft, whose Internet Explorer browser was Netscape's chief competition. The word mammon, in various Semitic languages, is related to money and riches. It appears in English translations of the Bible, and is sometimes used as the name of a demon of avarice. It may therefore imply not only that Microsoft has vastly greater funds to draw on, but that it has greedily abused that fact to further its own position in the marketplace. It also highlights the difference between the purely commercial development of Internet Explorer, and the new community-driven development of Netscape Mozilla. Red Letter Edition may be a reference to so-called red letter editions of the Bible, which print quotations by Jesus in red ink. It could also be a reference to a fact that March 31, 1998 was a red-letter day for the Mozilla project. The Book of Mozilla, 715, the next installment of the Book of Mozilla was written by Neil Deakin. It is included in all versions of Mozilla released from September 2003 to July 2008, all versions of Camino and the Mozilla Thunderbird email client, the SeaMonkey applications suite, the Epiphany web browser, the Minimo Pocket PC web browser, and all Netscape versions from 7.2 to 8.1.3. The 715 chapter and verse notation refers to July 15, 2003, the day when America Online shut down its Netscape browser division and the Mozilla Foundation was launched. In the HTML source of Book of Mozilla page, this verse is accompanied by the following annotation. The beast falling refers to Netscape being closed down by its now parent company AOL. The great bird that rises from the ash is the Mozilla Foundation, which was established to continue Mozilla development. The bird rises from the ash like a phoenix, a reference to the original name of the Mozilla Firefox browser. The bird casts down fire and thunder on the unbelievers, which is a direct reference to the Mozilla Firebird and Mozilla Thunderbird products, which became the main focus of Mozilla development a few months before the events of July 15. The fact that the beast has been reborn indicates that the spirit of Netscape will live on through the Foundation and its strength has been renewed as the Foundation is less reliant on AOL. Again, Mammon is Microsoft, Mozilla's main commercial competitor. The Book of Mozilla, 820, Netscape's lead browser engineer Christopher Fink contributed to the next verse of the Book of Mozilla. It was first made public in the June 5, 2007 release of Netscape Navigator 9.0b1. The 820 chapter and verse notation refers to August 20, 2006, when the first internal email was sent mentioning the possibility of developing the next Netscape Navigator in-house. Unlike previous verses, the HTML source for the Book of Mozilla page does not feature any verse-related annotations. The creator refers to Netscape the company. There are two interpretations of the verse. The phrase Beast Reborn appears in the previous verse referring to the Mozilla Foundation, and it was good could be a tribute to everyone who contributed to the Mozilla project. Beast Reborn could also be a reference to Netscape reopening their browser division instead of outsourcing development. Netscape Browser 8 was produced by Mercurial Communications. This verse is a parody of God's creation of earth described in Genesis 1:4, 1:10, 1:12, 1:18, 1:21, 1:25, 1:31 of the Bible. It also may be referencing Luke 3:22 of the Bible. The Book of Mozilla, 11:9. This verse landed in the Mozilla trunk code base on January 9, 2008. It first appeared in Firefox 3.0 Beta 3. This is also produced in the Alpha 1 version of Mobile Firefox, codenamed Fenc, Flock Browser version 2.0.6, WaterFox and Songbird. In the HTML source of the Book of Mozilla page, this verse is accompanied by the following annotation. Mammon is again Internet Explorer, which slept for the 5 years between releases. The Beast Reborn refers to Firefox, which gained supporters who self-organized through Spread Firefox, and undertook publicity for the browser, taking out an advertisement in the New York Times and making a crop circle shaped like the Firefox logo. The cunning of foxes is a direct reference to Firefox's name. The New World refers to modern, standards-based dynamic websites and open-source applications. The latter half of the passage links to the Mozilla Manifesto and the About Mozilla newsletter. The last part, starting with Mammon Awoke, speaks of the release of Internet Explorer 7 and with it was naught but a follower, describes it as a follower, copying several of the functions in Firefox that Internet Explorer previously lacked. Additionally, this quote from the 10th edition is an allusion to the Mozilla Foundation's 10th anniversary during the Firefox 3 development cycle. The Book of Mozilla, 15:1. This verse landed in the Mozilla trunk code base on January 23, 2013. It first appeared in the nightly builds of Firefox 21 and, as of December 5, 2014, is the currently displayed text in the released product. The twins of Mammon refers to Apple and Google, whose mobile operating systems, respectively iOS and Android, have taken a duopoly of the mobile OS market. The new darkness refers to the closed nature of traditional app stores. The beast moving swiftly refers to the new rapid release cycle of Firefox. The phrase went forth and multiplied refers to Firefox becoming multiple things through Firefox for Android and Firefox OS. The verse number 15.1 refers to the code freeze of Firefox OS 1.0. Behavior in different browsers. Microsoft Internet Explorer in some versions of Microsoft Internet Explorer, About, Mozilla produces a blank blue page referencing the blue screen of death. The source markup of the page defines the text color as white. The page still can be seen when using the URL, res.ms.html.dll about moz. The About page was defined in a registry entry HKEY local machine /software /Microsoft /Internet Explorer /about else. Netscape starting with Netscape 0.93 beta, About, Mozilla produced the text Mozilla rules. Viewing the About, Mozilla page with a Unix version of Netscape would change the throbber to an animation of Mozilla rising up from behind the planet logo and breathing fire. Say a monkey in versions of CMonkey browser later than 2.0, About, Mozilla displays the same Book of Mozilla from the Firefox trunk build that it was built off of. Flock equals. The Book of Mozilla, 11.1, though not an official verse by Mozilla, a new verse of the Book of Mozilla, 11.1, became available in Flock Browser 1.0 Plus, a social web browser based on Firefox. This verse is shown on blue-white vertical gradient when About, Mozilla is entered into the location bar. The verse is as follows. And when the beast had taken the quarter of the earth under its rule, is probably a reference to the 25% market share Firefox had gained over the more popular Internet Explorer. Birds of Sulphur references the developmental code name of Flock, which is Sulphur. The Mountain Views references the city of Mountain View, California, where the company that produces Flock was based at the time of writing. The 24 wise men refer to the 24 staff employees of Flock at that time. The stars refer to the star used in the branding. Though this verse was released November 5, 2007, much of the meaning is still unclear. They took their pens and dared to create is most likely a reference to the blogging and social networking integration in Flock. The section finally, they dared to share their deed with the whole of mankind, could possibly be making a reference to the fact that it is open source, and that they shared their good deed with the world. Iceweasel due to a dispute with the Mozilla Corporation, the Debian project was forced to change the name and branding of Mozilla Firefox in its distribution. In response, it changed the name to Iceweasel and the icon to a white weasel-like variant of the Firefox logo. Iceweasel includes the About, Mozilla Easter egg and showed the standard page from the Firefox version it was built from. However, when users navigate to About, Iceweasel they see a thematically similar message from the Book of Ice that describes the dispute with Mozilla and the creation of Iceweasel. The corpse in this edition represents the Mozilla Corporation and the references to the prohibition on flying in my name is a reference to the trademark prohibition. See also, About, URI scheme, Mozilla. References. External links. Changes to About, Mozilla page bug 213117 a new text for About, Mozilla, CVS history for the About, Mozilla file in the old Mozilla code base, CVS history for the About, Mozilla file in the new Mozilla code base until it was renamed to Mozilla XHTML, CVS history for the About, Mozilla file in the new Mozilla code base after it was renamed to Mozilla XHTML, CVS history for the About, Mozilla file in applications that use the new toolkit, CVS history for the About, Mozilla text, Mercurial history for About, Mozilla passage. Since Mozilla migration from CVS to Mercurial in 2007. Book of Mozilla on Mozilla.org The Book of Mozilla, bug 217203 a Book of Mozilla not on Mozilla.org, CVS history for www.mozilla.org index XML, CVS history for www Mozilla Urgindex HTML. Articles about the Book of Mozilla Mozilla Zine article announcing the new verse of the Book of Mozilla, results of a Mozilla Zine poll on the reader's favorite verse, some clarifications regarding About Mozilla written by Mozilla.org staff member Gavaz Markham. Collections of passages extracts from the Book of Mozilla a compilation of official and unofficial passages from the Book of Mozilla.